Imagine two woodcutters. The first swings his axe all day, pushing through the fatigue, chopping without a single break. The second woodcutter pauses every hour to sit down and sharpen his blade. By sunset, the one who took breaks has chopped twice as much wood. Meanwhile, most of us are acting exactly like the first guy. You work 10-hour days, you answer hundreds of emails, you bounce between urgent requests, and yet you hit the pillow at night completely exhausted, feeling like you accomplished absolutely nothing of substance. This trap is rooted in how society historically measured value. For a 19th century factory worker, physical sweat correlated directly to output. The heavier the lifting and the longer the hours, the more valuable the worker. But we don't live in that world anymore. We live in an economy of the mind. For a modern knowledge worker, raw volume is irrelevant. Nobody can look inside your head and measure your thoughts by the pound. The only true product you generate is the quality of your decisions. Management thinker Peter Drucker recognized this shift decades ago. He argued that applying an industrial-era mindset to modern work, treating your time as an infinite resource while trying to crank out volume like a machine, is a guaranteed formula for failure. Grinding through endless tasks doesn't create actual impact. It just guarantees chronic burnout. To survive, you have to stop measuring sweat and start treating your effectiveness as a strict, ruthless economic equation. Every night, exactly 86,400 seconds are deposited into your account. You can't rent more. You can't save what you don't use. The moment the clock strikes midnight, whatever you haven't spent disappears. Every second ticks down, permanently. If this were money, you would track every penny. But with time, we leak hours into a void. Drucker found that executives are terrible estimators of their own schedules. To fix this, you have to run a strict time audit. Track exactly where the hours go and hunt down the thieves, the legacy tasks we do just because we've always done them, and the broken systems that force us to fix the exact same errors week after week. Then there is the ultimate corporate black hole, the purposeless meeting. We often treat a packed calendar as a badge of honor. In reality, a schedule consumed by meetings with no clear agenda and no actionable decisions is a symptom of organizational failure, not personal importance. Once you identify where the asset is leaking, you have to reallocate it. Most people look at their job and ask, what tasks am I assigned to do? The effective executive flips the premise. They ask, what is the specific, unique contribution I can make to the bottom line? Since childhood, we are taught to isolate our weaknesses and work tirelessly to correct them. But pouring finite resources into a deficit only yields a mediocre generalist. High-yield returns come from identifying what you are uniquely exceptional at and outsourcing everything else. Effectiveness requires abandoning the pursuit of well-rounded perfection. It demands moving your time away from your flaws toward the areas where you are already extraordinary. You focus your energy where your absence would leave the work incomplete. You can take a wide beam of sunlight, spread it across a sidewalk, and it will barely warm the concrete. But route that exact same light through a single lens, and it starts a fire. Concentration multiplies impact. Concentrating your effort carries a severe psychological cost. It requires the courage to say no to things that seem genuinely important. Because if a task is not your absolute top priority, giving it partial attention actively sabotages your primary goal. This extreme focus forces difficult decisions. When an executive faces a complex problem, the objective is to define the exact conditions that will solve it. The objective is never to find a comfortable, watered-down compromise that keeps everyone in the room happy. Drucker warned that instant harmony is a red flag. Without disagreement, you have no way to test the logic of a decision or reveal its hidden risks. You need the friction of opposing views to ensure the final path is based on the hard reality of the situation, rather than just the path of least resistance. Gathering dissenting opinions and stripping away secondary distractions takes intense discipline, but these are the specific multipliers that take a finite supply of hours and turn them into the kind of decisions that can define an entire organization's future. This professional discipline provides the actual bandwidth needed for a second half of life. Unlike manual laborers who physically decline with age, a knowledge worker's mind can grow sharper over decades. By mastering effectiveness now, you create the freedom to pursue parallel passions and lifelong learning long after others have reached their limit. So tonight, before you go to sleep, ignore your inbox count. Don't recount the meetings you attended. Look at tomorrow's calendar and ask yourself, what is the single most important task I can do that will actually make a difference? Being highly effective is not an innate talent. It is not an accident of circumstance. It is a strict, conscious choice that you make every single morning.